Good morning to everyone here in Maryland. I am Callie Francois. Usually I have Keith Fiesel, but I've got Tim Tulloch next to me this morning. I had a pretty decent morning this morning. Tim, how was yours?
Mine was good. It was too cold for Keith. He didn't want to come out and play here this afternoon, this morning, today at the races. So I said I'd fill in. It was a good morning. It was a good morning. Watched the women's NCAA Division I cross country championships. It was a lot of fun. Caitlin Tui and the NCAA Wolfpack, second year in a row, champions.
There we
Division
go.
I cross country.
The Wolfpack coming in, just taking, talking about the track. The track is fast and the turf is good. We're on the turf today. We're hitting just a tick over 40 degrees right now. We don't have much wind, so Tim and I are out here today and enjoy this nice, refreshing day out here. And let's start this racing day, this 9-race card, with this maiden claiming 20 in this first event, going 5.5 on the turf scratch. The 2, 5, 10, 12, 15, and 16. Bring in the 14 Midnight Choir here. Yep. You have on top, Tim.
Yeah, this was big. This was big. This changed the whole complexion of the race. The 14 Midnight Choir drawing in for Ricky Hendricks, dropping in class this afternoon to this maiden 20. Just missed in her last two races right here at Laurel Park under Forest Boys. Her figures stand out. She's got the right running style for a course that's rated good. She doesn't stay too far out of it. This should work for the 14 Midnight Choir.
Absolutely. We both have the number 7 also as well. Mashua for Dale Capuano. Carlos Lopez really going to have to make the effort to chase after your draw in today.
Yeah, I mean, this was original, my top pick, just like you. Decent effort while running second in her most recent. That was her first time going 5.5 furlongs on the turf course. She should move forward a little bit today. Unfortunately, as it appears on paper, she runs in to the 14 Midnight Choir this afternoon, but she looks like she's second best for sure.
What do you think of Made My Wish for Phil Schoenthal? With William Humphrey gets the call on this one.
Yeah, look,
it had been consistent up until last time out.
Yeah, clearly something went wrong. Was very, very good running, having consistent figures and consistent races, running very, very close to the leader. Just missed 3 starts ago. Then ran really poorly, but clearly something was wrong.
Right.
Went off on a little vacation, comes back this afternoon with just a couple works since September 5th. That's okay. I'll trust Phil here, but she certainly is in the conversation. And her figures after Midnight Choir work with the rest of the bunch.
Absolutely, which is why I have her underneath as well. I also take a chance on the number 3 Made It, the Tim Keefe first-time starter. I just have some experience with that filly. She's had some on and off break time. And then, of course, we both include Princess Palmer just to be in the mix of it. Going short here gets the rail position. But race number 2 starts the early pick 4. Tim, you've got a ticket lined up for us. How do you play it here today?
I do. A $24 ticket. And race 2, I go 2, 4, 5. I spread in race 3 and race 4. 1, 2, 4, 5 in race 2. 2, 5, 6, 7 in race, 1, 2, 4, 5 in race 3. 2, 5, 6, 7 in race 4. And I single on the 5. Red, white, and tacos.
A lot of 5s in there.
Race of, a lot of 5s in there, race 5. So there you go, $24 ticket for the early pick 4.
Early pick 4 kicks off with them claiming 8,000. 2 turns here around the dirt track, a mile and 16. Scratch the 1, Angelus Warrior, who I had underneath, but that leaves you with GeoCare on top, Tim. I like this pick for Rudy Rodriguez. It's a bit of a chancy pick.
It's an extremely chancy pick. You just have to think that he's just going to outclass him.
Right.
He's coming off a voided claim 2 starts ago. He drops from the 20 to 12.5 in his last start. He gets beat to 7 lengths. He drops again this afternoon, but he just might simply be better than this group, even though things have not been going his way lately. He does have a couple works since that's October 21st race, so that's encouraging.
It's encouraging as well. We both have the number 2 and the number 4 underneath. I have the number 4, Dr. Ferber. We've got a video spotlight that Tim brought up on these 2 horses. Interesting setup for it today here, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, this is Money in the Banksy, close to the leader right now, and you're going to see Dr. Ferber starting to make a run from the back of the pack right there, the 3. This was a pretty good race for both of them. Dr. Ferber pretty far back early. Money in the Banksy was well positioned all the way around there. Beat a pretty nice horse, or a pretty good horse who's been pretty consistent lately. That's a Kraken Wagon.
Yeah.
Kraken Wagon down toward the rail. Dr. Ferber just keeps churning on. They get back in the same race this afternoon. The 2 Money in the Banksy, who you see finishing up here, winning this race. He didn't pick his feet up in his latest race, that one-turn mile, but you go back and you look at his 2 races previous to that, 2-turn races. They were big, strong efforts. And that race, right there, we just watched, he fired an 81 Beyer speed figure that day against starter $5,000 types. The race before, a good effort there with a good number. So if he can run back to either one of those 2 races around 2 turns like he has been, I think Money in the Banksy could give Geocare everything he can handle.
I see the same thing with both of those 2 horses. I just decided to take a chance on Dr. Ferber just because everything did not set up for him last time. Both in course, surface, distant, just the surface last time out. Still ran well considerably, but I think just finds and is going to appreciate a fast track better today.
Well, yeah, and he's coming out of a mile in the 16th turf race where he didn't run back. I mean, he was outrun really badly in the beginning. He only gets beat like the quarter for the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Running fifth, so he's in good form. Why not take a shot?
Why not take a shot? Simtolic 5243. I go 4253. Race number 3 is a claiming 25. Never win 3 for the girls. 3 years old and up. A mile and 16th on the dirt here again. We both land on the number 6 unadulterated for Jerry Robb, Xavier Perez. Just constant. Some of these races just constantly knocking on the door.
Yeah, well, look, she's finally getting back to a fast main track where she's run quite well. Earlier in the career, you got Laurel, Delaware, getting a fast main track while going around a ground. Good, strong figures with very, very good results. A couple of wins there. And then she tried the turf, and then she caught a sloppy track 2 back. She caught a fast track in her most recent start. She runs second. Third, she only gets beat 2 lengths. And she had a little trouble at the start. Now, good break's going to be important. She was steady and in tight in her last 2 starts, but I'm on unadulterated.
Unadulterated. And we both see this pretty similarly. We both have the number 1 underneath. Grace's Secret for Anthony Ferrier, Javian Toledo. This is the second time after the claim for Anthony Ferrier where he's currently hitting it that at 25%.
Well, it gets back to 2 turns also. The 1-turn mile can be tricky. She made her debut here at Laurel Park, going that 1-turn mile for the 2 lifetime 40. Yes. She drops it to 25 today. She gets back to 2 turns. Her 2-turn races in Kentucky were pretty good, and the numbers certainly hold up here.
One who's coming back to the dirt again is the number 4 Golden Effect, who we have a video spotlight on. A really nice effort last time out from Michael Trombetta. Fergal is just taking him gate to wire.
Yeah, Fergal was pretty clever in here. He opened up around the turn, and he thought, this filly might get late. I better open up, and I better open up now and see if we can hang on. And that's exactly what happened. She's on her left lead all the way down here. Look, she's struggling. She's struggling from here to the wire. She finally pops off to her right lead right around here. There it is. And that was just enough to hold this one off. But we get 2 turns this afternoon. She won't have that long stretch to come down. That long stretch, you can see that last from the first wire to the second wire can be an eternity for some of these horses.
Yeah,
it was certainly an eternity for Golden Effect that particular day. A couple of works since that last race.
Fergal was praying for the wire on that ride last time out. You include the number 2 as well. Start with a bang, and why not Rudy Sanchez? Solomon Angel Cruz, solid performance last time out.
Yeah, that was a good race behind Marvelous. Marvelous would come back and win again the other day. That's a filly in really, really good form. That was in the Maryland Million Distaff. You go back 3 races, a nice race at that starter at the State Bred Allowance. That was a good race. She only gets beat 3 lengths behind Champagne Toast and a couple other races earlier this year. So if she brings her best race, she's all about it here. The 2 start with a bang.
Absolutely, start with a bang. May pop and fire off here in this race, and I include Nibbles, first time claim off the barn, reverting back to the dirt for Rudy Sanchez. Solomon, why not? Race number 4 starts the Rainbow Pick Six, and hey, we still have that carryover that just keeps on teasing you. If we could get a look at that $42,221 carryover, that's certainly going to jump up a bit by the time the gates open for race number 4. This is a maiden special weight affair. Tim, you end up landing on the 2 Expectation expectations met. This is Georgia Duarte Jr. Carlos Lopez. This one caught my attention, but excuse me, I got a little trigger happy. Let's talk about my Rainbow Pick 6 ticket, and I go 3 wide in this maiden claiming affair. Struggled to find a little bit of a single, but I do end up landing on a single in the 8th race, and that would be, excuse me for a second, in the 8th race, in this decent allowance optional claiming Prince Jericho. Just a really bomb performance last time out. I really think that this one is just really going to. The barn is very, very happy with how he's going. That's all I'm going to say on that. So that's my In Brittany We Trust single on the number 8 Prince of Jericho, a $57.60 ticket. But let's go ahead and kick back to this maiden special weight event. Sorry, as I was explaining, 6 furlongs on the dirt. Tim, you have the George A. Duarte Jr. first time out. This one caught my attention at first glance.
Well, first of all, 300,000. They weren't afraid to spend on this one as a yearling. Has been working okay at the farm. Understand, they're not glitzy works. They never are when they come out of the Colts Neck stable. But this is a guy who hits a 21% with his first-time starter. His dam was unraced. Now, my only issue here is we see a gap in this filly's works from August 20th to October 29th. So everything hasn't gone perfectly smoothly, but clearly this filly they gave a little bit of cash for, and the work tab's okay. Make the rider Carlos Lopez.
Yes, Carlos Lopez is going to be jamming this one out of the gates pretty good. A sharp enough work to keep this one. I always love a gate work before that first time out. I can't reiterate that enough. But then I'm going to go ahead and contradict myself and go with a Brittany Russell on top. Creole with Fergal Lynch on top. This one didn't have a gate work prior to this first time out, but a decent enough gate work 3 back, going a half a mile, and just some solid works to back that right up.
Well, it's hard not to get behind a first-time starter for Brittany Russell, and she has another runner in here who's not a first-time starter. But look, been working pretty well. 22% Brittany first time out. Maybe the 5/8 works are a tad slow. I go back and look at some of Brittany's other horses that work 5/8. I know certain guys, Trombetta,
right.
Dale, the 5/8 a mile, they don't really want to see them go much quicker than 102 or so. But Brittany's horses will work in that 101 a little bit quicker. So I'm a little concerned about her 5/8 works. Her half-mile works are certainly good enough.
My argument for that is that's off the pole. We're in a race. We're coming out of the gates. So that for the gate work is what kind of got me there. So that did solidify things a little bit for me at that point.
Well, you're quicker off the pole. You're already moving.
Right.
You're already moving. So she's going 103 and change. Now, maybe that was by design. Maybe she just doesn't have that kind of speed. I've always said and will always say you don't know what you have until you work a young horse 5/8 a mile. Because anybody,
right,
even from the pole, because anybody, and you can watch any race any night at any racetrack, can go a half mile in 48. And it's that next furlong and a half that gets to them.
You also have the number 5 underneath Lavisa, the other Brittany Russell runner. This one Sheldon gets the call on. This is coming from Mike Stidham's barn. Tried at Presque Isle Downs earlier this year after a late start as a 2-year-old.
Yeah, this one's turning back for Brittany. They turned back about 31%, getting in the barn for the first time for Brittany. She's got a local work right here at Laurel Park. Good enough. She needs to get away. Clearly, she didn't get away in her last start, and that could make all the difference for Lavisa.
Brittany Russell, as of late, 6 for 25 route to sprint, 24% in that stat as well. So that's really nice underneath. You also have the number 7, How Sweet She Is, Michael Trombetta. Johan Rosado gets a little bit of reprieve. Only 2 horses on the outside. For you, I feel like that's a perfect spot for a first-time starter.
Yeah, it's a great spot for a first-time starter on the outside, but getting to break in between horses. There was something about this filly. I didn't go back and look at her works from that OBS 2-year-old training sale, but they gave $210,000 for her and stopped on her. That was back in March. She reappears now. She comes in with a solid work tab. She's been consistently working since the first week of September. I'd be a little leery of this one. Clearly, they saw something they like, and they were willing to give her the time. They
And
didn't
that's a
come,
thing.
and
Yes,
which
I
is
like.
important.
I
Yep.
will. That's a move I love
Yep.
because those 2-year-old sales can be really grueling on a couple of these babies. So to really, I appreciate from a horseman's perspective, as I'm sure you do as well. Give them that time to recuperate from that sale and come back really fresh. So interesting with how sweet she is coming off of a break from that sale. But race number 5 is this claiming 10,000. Never win two, going 6 furlongs here in the dirt. You and I both land on red, white, and tacos for Damon Deal-Davico. We've got a video spotlight. We get J-Ron Barbosa back in the saddle again today.
Yeah, this one just got away. See that slight bobble,
Yep.
but that was enough. Look, out the back door right now. This race was going 5.5. That was just enough. The break is everything. It wasn't a lot. Out the back door there. Now, what you won't see is J-Ron Barbosa, and no fault of his, he had to get into the race. He started asking this one at the 3/8 pole.
Right.
It's hard for a horse to sustain a run for 3/8 of a mile. This one kind of keeps going. She kind of keeps grinding away. The break, as you watch her, she keeps on grinding away. She's going to get up here in the picture. But a better break is going to make all the difference for Red, White, and Taco since breaking her maiden. She came back on the grass a couple times. That didn't work. Most recent 2 starts, 2 lifetime 10,000, 2 lifetime 10,000 again. Both good efforts. Recent race is good enough to win here, and she didn't get away. A good break should get them to the winner's circle.
You also have the number 1 underneath. Interesting, a nice one on the rail. Set it up for me really quick, Tim.
Yeah, Kobe's girl broke from the fence going 7/8 of a mile in her last start. Now, I know she's breaking from the fence again today. They really used her hard the early part in that race, going 7/8 of a mile, backed up from there.
Right.
10-pound bug rider was on that particular. This just, if it looks like fish, smells like fish. It's fish. Now we get Grant Whitaker back, the Mario Saray stable rider. We get 3/4 of a mile back. You know Grant loves to just draft in behind horses and
Right.
come with a run.
He does.
This race looks exactly like that. The 2 Boss Angel for Lacey Gaudet. Maybe get some relief here out of that 16-2 lifetime in her most recent. She was behind 2 next out winners in her most recent start in Icy Reply and Mega Valicio. That one.
That one. And on top of that,
sets.
well, on top of that too, I think just hasn't really been getting the trip of really getting out there and into the field. So I think you go back to when she broke her maiden. She was up there near the lead. There wasn't a lot of contention up there, but she was chasing a bit of a lone speed. But she was able to target on that one and really take advantage of it. So hopefully she gets a little bit. It's going to be tough to get that reprieve out of the 2 post, but that gives a good heads up for William Humphrey. You also have the number 3 underneath Miyagi's for Kieran McGee, Carol Cedeno on top. We're getting back to the dirt with this one.
Yeah, getting back to the dirt. Now, Kieran put this one on the turf first off the claim. Didn't work very well that particular day. Gets back to basically the level of the claim. 32% turf to dirt work since. Probably has to get a little bit better, but not too far off.
Not too far off as well. That was race at number 5. Tim Tollett goes 5, 1, 2, 3. I go to 5, 2, 8, 4. We'll be right back for a commercial to talk about the rest of our 9 race card here. Welcome back, and we're going to start this race number 6 in this claiming 25, never win 3, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Tim, you have the number 4 on top, Spicy Margarita, setting it up for Claudio Gonzalez with Walter Rodriguez on top. They're starting to heat up a little bit, that pair right there.
They certainly are. I'm going to draw a line through her 2 most recent races. They were both on the slop. They were both against 2 other than company. Clearly, she can't stand up on the slop against those types. You go back to her 3 previous races, that's 2 wins and a just missed second with mid-70 Beyer speed figures there. She's 3 for 6 here at 3 for 6 at the distance. She's 5 for 6 in the money when sprinting on the main track. So I'm going with Spicy Margarita.
Why go with a girl named Jack, the number 7 for Hugh McMahon, John Ovello, just constantly knocking at the door of this filly. She, especially that last time out, just gave it a solid effort. Couldn't catch the winner, just up for place. This filly, especially coming back to this distance, this type of condition, why not? Absolutely. Hugh McMahon has had a couple of good runners in this, especially this last weekend. So the barn is potentially starting to heat up a little bit.
Well, she was behind the next out winner in Combat Queen and in front of a next out winner, 6 o'clock Sarah, who she gets to line up again this afternoon. But yeah, I mean, she's been pretty consistent. She's been a while since she's seen the winner circle. She hasn't seen the winner circle at all this year, and she's 0 for 11 here at Laurel.
I'm going to go ahead and take a chance, but you have the number 11 Song Singer. We have a video spotlight on that one. Good. I have that one underneath as well. Kathleen DeMasi, Horacio Caramanos gets the call today.
Yeah, I like this move. This one broke her maiden at the Monmouth Park over early fall, September, first week of September. Takes her out. Takes down the first level allowance race here at Penn National. It's a good looking effort. Nothing wrong with this effort. Draws away. What does she do? She doesn't try 2 out of the end. She says, you know what? I know my filly's limitations. Let's try a 3 lifetime 25,000. That's exactly where she is today. Yep. If her figures can hold up from Monmouth and Penn National, that's good enough. The 9, 6 o'clock Sarah, this is a runner. She's a 3-year-old. She's a 7-time winner. She returns to Laurel where she is winless, but she's run well. She's 15 for 19.
Wow.
In the money. She's always shows up to play. Half of her race is going 3/4 mile on the dirt. She's won.
Got to include 6 o'clock Sarah on
Yep.
your picks here in the 6th. Race number 7, a mile and an eighth here on the turf. This nice allowance for the girls 3 years old and up. Tim, you land on the number 12, Liz Sheen, who I have underneath for Grand Motion. We get Georgie Rui gets the call on this. Last time out, these 3 paired together turned out to be a winner.
It turned out to be the winner. In fact, that's the last time this filly did win, coming off a layoff this past July right here at Laurel Park. Going a mile, went up to New York for 3 consecutive starts. Look, they're all good efforts. By the numbers, got better with every single start. Wasn't really dragged those numbers. She ran well.
Right.
I mean, she got beat 2 lengths in all 3 of those races. Conventional wisdom says she gets a little class relief coming out of the first level allowance races in New York to us down here in lowly old Maryland. No, I'm just kidding. But no, hey, look, that's just realistic. Conventional wisdom,
absolutely.
But she's getting better. She's getting better at the right time.
Absolutely. And I took a chance on the full count Felicia, the Brittany Russell runner, just breaking the maiden. Tried in Virginia Oaks at Colonial. I mean, a decent effort, decent enough effort. Gets the break, scratched twice. One was an one was an off the turf event, so gets a little bit of time for that, and we know how well Brittany Russell is first off of the layoff, so that's kind of the trajectory I'm going with.
Yeah, about 30% off this type of layoff. But let's look at those 2 races since she came into Brittany's barn. Maiden special weight down there at Colonial, got the job done. They took a big bite at the Virginia Oaks. Not a bad effort. She only gets beat 4 lengths for the whole thing.
Race.
Running 6th in a 14-horse field. It was a tough race. Comes back with a little freshening. We know Brittany's good at that. Sheldon gets the call. Some good work sent. So, yeah. I like that one, too.
Absolutely. I also include Chorus Girl. You do as well for Michael Matz. Javian Toledo gets the call, and I love this setup because the way this horse goes needs to be a little bit on that front end. I love this spot for Toledo on the turf. He sits that pocket spot perfectly. He just tends to ride it really well. So I saw that matchup, and I immediately got my interest perked out of that right there.
Well, the extra furlong is going to help, right?
Absolutely.
You would think the extra furlong will help this one. A good work since that last race. So far in her career, she's been honest. She won. She got beat a half length while running 3rd in a first level allowance race up there at Belmont at Aqueduct for Michael Matz. It all looks good for the 6 course.
It all looks good. You also include, this name is okay, the drawing for Steve Cooper. Jonathan Mendoza gets the call on this one. A decent effort back at Keeneland. Anything coming out of Keeneland, especially leading up to the Breeders' Cup, you always have to take a look at that horse.
No doubt about it. And then just go back and look at her races from Delaware. Now, we've talked about the Delaware figures maybe being a little inflated.
Right.
But she runs consistently well. Colonial, she runs a good number. Comes back at Delaware off the turf event. She's in good form. That's fine. Keeneland race, not bad at all. She took some money. She's 6-1. runs 6, she gets beat 5 lengths. So she gets back here going a mile and eighth. It should work. It'd be okay for this name is okay.
A nice competitive race in the seventh race. I could have gone wider on my ticket. I go 7, 6, 13, 12. Tim goes 12, 6, 7, 14. So that tells you how nice this race sets up. Race number 8 is our feature race going 6 furlongs here on the dirt. This allowance optional claiming 6 to 2, 5. I go with Prince of Jericho. But Tim, let's talk about Valzinian Day. Excuse me, for Rudy Rodriguez. You're on a Rudy Rodriguez kick today.
Well,
on
look, if you could see my paper, you'd see that I changed my picks about 4 times. I was back and forth between Valzin Day and Prince of Jericho. I finally ended up Valzin Day for this simple reason. He's already won this condition. He's coming back again to try this race again. Who did he run behind in the A other than his most recent start? Post Time. Post Time looks like a very, very good horse. Well, guess what? So did Prince of Jericho in his debut race. So we're sort of kind of even there. I gave the nod here to Valentine's Day under Toledo. Figures are good. He's he's a stakes placed horse. He's won the A other than. He's run well here. He ran into a gorilla last time, and that's where I end up. But I honestly, I'm not.
It's tough.
It's tough. This is a nice race.
It's such a toss-up. You can see we both have the same 4 top picks, but we have them in different orders. It's just this race is such a toss-up. Prince of Jericho, the barn has good things to say about this horse coming into this race here today. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I mean, it says it right there. Second time out, 6 furlongs on the turf, wins by 11. 11
let's
plus.
take a look at that race.
Let's go ahead and take a look at that.
28th.
Yes.
This is Prince of Jericho making his second start. Now his first start, he ran behind Post Time, Post Time, who would come back and win. But this is a good looking race. And when Sheldon Russell asks this one to go, he goes and he takes right off. That really, really flattered Post Time, doesn't it? When you think about it, because here you go, Prince of Jericho just taking off, an easy winner, going to take on winners for the first time this afternoon. But you have to like what you see here. A work since that last race, and so far has done everything he's been asked.
You have to. You also do have to, within saying that and seeing that, do respect the Rudy Rodriguez ship-in with all the experience that horse has had. We also both include Arby's the Boss on the rail for Damon DeLoDevico. Angel Cruz gets the call. Another one who's been impressive, but I think is really going to need to step up to the plate today.
They got it right there. Needs to step up today. Today has never really run a bad race. Most recently, a good-looking win, but in that claiming 40, coming out of the maiden 40, maiden breaking score, sharp work since. Gonna have to get quicker, no doubt about it.
Gonna have to get quicker in that feature race that we have for race number 8. Race number 9, our nightcap here today, is a 6 furlong event. Claiming 12-5. Tim, you have the number 3 on top, Bayless Street. Jerry Robb coming back off of a win. Not a bad angle to go for.
Yeah, not a bad angle we'll go for. They win 2 in a row pretty consistently. Very good with his 2-year-olds, about 22% to win 2 in a row. First off a break and a win, making his Laurel Park debut, making his debut without Lasix. This will be the first time he runs without Lasix. So we're going to have to see how that kind of plays out. I think, we're coming to the end of the year. We won't have this angle for very much longer, but it's certainly something to pay attention to. But Baylor Street is just very, very well entered this afternoon.
Very, very well entered. Absolutely.
Bring over the top.
You go with Music Man's Andy underneath for Brittany Russell. Sheldon Russell, of course, gets the call. This one, I'm taking a chance on this one. This is Brittany's third after the laugh, 17%, but second time in the Brittany Russell barn. A nice work on November 14th kind of perks my interest a little bit on this one to put it on top.
Yeah, what about the big drop from the maiden 40 to the 12-5? That perked my interest right there, and that should certainly do the trick. A couple works since that last race, Sheldon Russell ride. So that whole combination for Music Man Sandy or Music Man's Andy?
Music Man's Andy. That's how I read. That's how Music Man Sandy.
Yeah,
yes,
it's a trick one.
It is a tricky one. You're right. You have to go with the Music Man Sandy. Gonna have to defer to Rodman,
Yep.
but maybe let's trick on Music Man Sandy because she is a filly in this race. So just having to take a fun little look at the
Good
way you
point.
play up that name. Absolutely. You also go with One Last Olas, of course, for Claudio Gonzalez underneath. Finally getting that win last time out. Let's see if we can. Let's see. Hopefully that was a little bit of a light switch race.
Yeah, dropped in class to get that win, but comes back against a pretty similar. 3 starts ago, this is a horse that ran well at the maiden 20 with a much better figure than he broke his maiden. She broke her maiden with, but she's going to have to run back to that for sure.
Absolutely, definitely. We also so that is going to wrap up our picks. Race number 9, Tim Tull goes 3-5-4-7. I go 5-1-3-7. Let's talk about a couple of points here on Lightning Round. A couple of Maryland bred representatives here at the not here, but over in Lexington, Kentucky at the Keeneland sales. One of them being Ragged Rose. She led the MD bred contingent at the recently concluded Keeneland November sale. This daughter of Union Rags, bred by Dark Hollow Farm, sold to the China Horse Club for $750,000. One of the 6 Maryland breds to command 6 figures. She was in training with John Sadler over in California, had 2 starts, and then was put away and came back with a nice price, Tim. But it's always nice to see Maryland breds doing so well, especially in the sales.
There's no doubt about that. That's a nice price. Who's she's in full to? Do we know that? I didn't look
say.
it up.
It would
Okay.
have said it. It would have said if she's in full.
Pregnant, right there. I'm
Right
looking
there,
at
and I
things,
didn't.
so
Yeah, I
no
looked
big
up.
shake.
I,
No big
I
shake.
looked
They
up her
give us
hip
something to do.
earlier.
They give us
Yeah,
something to do.
I looked up her hip
There we go.
earlier and I couldn't find anything. So let's also take a look at the leaderboard of what's going on. We'll get into the trainers, but right now with the jockeys, J-Ron Barbosa's back in the saddle, back in action, and just nothing is really going to stop this kid.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't look like they're going to have to take a big push to catch J-Ron Barbosa. He's right now. He's getting the fastest horses, and and he's tough. He's tough. He gets to the front end. He's tough. The horses run for him. He's very small. If you haven't been down, so even though the weight. He rides light. Even though the weight is the same, he rides light.
Right.
Horses feel like they've got just a feather on them. So
Riding well and riding nice horses as well for J-Ron Barbosa. But let's take a look at the trainer standings. Damon Deal DeVico, Brittany Russell. It's like this all weekend. A couple of these matchups are really set up to put a nice duke out between Brittany and Damon.
Well, look, I mean, this is what's going to happen. We know that tomorrow is our last day of turf racing. That means Claudio Gonzalez is going to start to close the gap.
Right.
He's always in the fall. He's a little quiet when we have a lot of turf races. And we turn that page over to all dirt racing. Claudia will make a run. But look, interesting. You got Brittany on top, as you see. Damon right there, Mikey Trombetta. And look, you never count out Dale Capuano because he likes those dirt races too.
He does,
so
yeah.
It could be a lot of fun to the end of the year.
He was right behind the title fight. So I remember last title things got pretty interesting. So they key up to be pretty interesting again here. But that's it for us two in the morning. We will see you both in the afternoon. Tim's going to be taking control of the ship here for our afternoon races. But let's talk with Dave Rodman about some changes and scratches.